right, welcome everyone to Monday Mornings at Maine online edition. My name is Heather Miller. I'm so glad you could join us today for our presentation. Today we are joined by Krat and Deb Lash-Stangel from Downtown Mainstreet, and they're going to be talking to us about the Imagine 2040 initiative. So Will and Deb, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having us, and I'm gonna take a moment here just to quickly share my screen. So bear with me for a second. All right, can you see that?
We can.
Okay, great. So thanks once again for having us. We are from Downtown Mainstreet. Hopefully, you know a little bit about Downtown Mainstreet, but what we are is a member run organization focused primarily in the downtown of La Crosse. We assist businesses, we represent businesses, we work with the neighborhood association, we work with other organizations to try to create a welcoming and vibrant downtown. So first I'll have Deb introduce herself.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, let's see, I'll try to make it quick. In 1990, I started working downtown La Crosse for a computer place. And then in 95, I decided I wanted to be my own boss. So in 96, I bought the only business I could find for sale, and that was the Wedding Tree. At that time, it was where Deaf Ear is now on 4th Street. And after a couple of years, I moved it to what used to be Crosse on 418 Main Street. Crosse turned into Jupiter. And before it turned into Kmart, Kmart moved to Highway 33 over there. And then Sylvester Discount Store went in for 10 years. And then I went in 98 with the Wedding Tree. And since then, we've remodeled all 4 floors. I bought the building in 2004. And in 2015 or 14, we remodeled the 3rd floor that was La Crosse's original YWCA. And it's now the Court Above Main, which is a venue. And I also have the La Crosse Wedding Expo. So I'm on 25 years of business as a Wedding Tree. And in 2006, Bud Miyamoto asked me to please get on the board and represent retailers for downtown La Crosse for Downtown Mainstreet. And I've been on the board ever since. I actually got off just a few months ago to serve as interim director while we find a permanent executive director for Downtown Mainstreet. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions? Okay, go ahead, Will.
All right, I'm gonna have to quickly switch to my phone. I apologize. I'm having some audio issues, so bear with me just one second here.
But does anybody have any questions about DMI or anything in the meantime?
Now, it's a deal that the downtown businesses or whatever pay a sum to DMI?
Yes, we have individual members, and we have levels of membership ranging from, I think individuals often only pay $50 a year. And then businesses pay anywhere from $200 to $5,000. And, of course, depending on how many employees you have. And if you are an individual, you can pay $5,000 if you would like. But what everybody gets then is that downtown discount card. And it gives people that are members certain deals at all the restaurants and stores downtown that are members.
All right, can you hear me, Deb and Heather?
Yes.
Okay, great. I apologize about that. I've got my spouse teaches for the La Crosse School District. So she is likely teaching on Zoom right now, and we have 2 students in the La Crosse School District who are probably watching on Zoom. So I apologize if there's any technical issues, and Heather and Deb or anybody else, feel free to jump in. My name is Will Krat. I am the current DMI board president. Been on the DMI board and as a volunteer for about 6 years. I am a transportation engineer at ISG. We're a local architecture and engineering firm. And I work on a lot of different urban design and planning efforts with ISG and also here locally in La Crosse. I was born and raised in La Crosse on the south side. My wife and I spent about 7 years in the Madison area going to school and working. And then we decided to move back to La Crosse to be closer to home, and couldn't be happier. So a little bit about what we've been doing at Downtown Mainstreet recently. So some highlights for 2020. You may have seen or heard about the outdoor cafes that were downtown. These are similar to what you may have heard called parklets in the past. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, it was really an issue of needing to provide other alternatives for people, some safer alternatives for dining patrons and the wait staff and everything. And so these were really successful this year. Downtown Mainstreet and many of our members worked very closely with the city of La Crosse to kind of change that program. One of the biggest things was that they did allow alcohol to be served on these outdoor cafes. And that made it a better investment for the businesses, because, many people want to have a beer or a wine or something like that with their burger or their steak or whatever. So we had a very successful season, and we're hopeful that a few of them may be looking at winter opportunities as well. You may have seen in the news that we did get approval from the city of La Crosse to extend that into the winter. Some other things that we did in 2020 is we worked with other partners, including the city of La Crosse County, and other nonprofit organizations to provide direct financial assistance to downtown businesses. Early in 2020, that was through just basically a direct cash injection. As many of you know, some of our downtown businesses really took a hit right away, especially when things were closing. Unfortunately, many retailers and restaurants had to lay people off for a while. So some of that money assisted in helping them make payroll, make up for other revenue losses while they figured out how to adjust to the current situation with COVID-19. And then lastly, we kicked off the Imagine 2040 plan, which is mostly what we're here to talk about today. And what this is it's the next version of La Crosse's downtown master plan. And if you don't know the history behind that, La Crosse has had, I believe this is the third downtown master plan. The last one was called City Vision 2020. And it's really what helped to kick off Downtown Mainstreet and I guess help Downtown Mainstreet grow. The first plan is what started Downtown Mainstreet. And then we also have a sister nonprofit organization called City Vision that raises funds for a lot of things that you see in downtown. They were primarily responsible for the white LED snowflakes that you see downtown, which I think has been a great addition. And so the last version was 2020, and today is 2020. So we need to look out further into the future and try to imagine, if you will, what La Crosse should look like and be by the time we hit 2020, or I'm sorry, 2040. It was a interesting decision once we knew that COVID-19 was about to hit, whether to do the project or to hit pause. But ultimately, we decided to move forward with the project because we didn't know how long COVID would last. And now looking back, unfortunately, it's probably a lot longer than any of us had hoped, although there seems to be some hope that 2021 might be the change in tide that we're looking for. But also because, you know, although each challenge is different and we may or may not ever see a pandemic of this type within this generation, and hopefully we won't, it's still important to know how to react to challenges and be resilient. And so part of this plan is to come up with some ideas on how downtown La Crosse, its businesses, its residents, its visitors, the entire community can try to work to be more resilient when we do run into challenges. And I think that's something that the La Crosse community has been really great at over many, many generations. I mean, you know, starting on the river as a fur trading post to a lumber community to maybe our stronger manufacturing times, you know, in the last 40, 50 years, and now a center for healthcare and education. And who knows what'll be next, but I think La Crosse has done a great job of reinventing itself in the past. So our goals for 2021 for Downtown Mainstreet include becoming more outward focused. So we really want to focus on the businesses, the people, the visitors, the residents in downtown. We've got a great brand. We went through a great exercise with the help of the state WEDC to come up with some great new logos and a brand and all of that. But we really believe that, you know, it's not about Downtown Mainstreet, the organization. It's about the downtown. It's about the community. And if we work more towards, you know, assisting the businesses and improving the businesses and everything else that's a part of downtown, we're all going to benefit from that. We also want to focus on more frequent small events that feel big. You know, so you may know us for Historic Downtown Days, the walkarounds, restaurant week, various efforts that go on downtown throughout the year. And we're certainly not going to forget about those. But we really want downtown to be a place where, you know, maybe not the early part of the week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, but, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday during the day. We want downtown to be a place that everyone can come down and find something going on that interests them. You know, we want it to be inclusive. We want it to be diverse. We want it to be available for families, and teenagers is another group that we've been looking at. And then also older adults is something that we can do a lot more with as well. We want to make the outdoor cafes permanent. Our downtown is very historic, and we've worked very hard to preserve that and plan to continue to do that into the future, which means that there really isn't a lot of space for outdoor seating. Our buildings go right up to the edge of the sidewalk. We have fairly narrow sidewalks in downtown La Crosse. And so really the only places where there's significant outdoor seating is if there's a vacant space next to a historic building that was torn down in the past, or some have got innovative with rooftop seating, those sorts of things. So these outdoor cafes are really becoming really popular throughout the country. And so we would like to see those made a bit more permanent to provide more options for people, even when we don't have a pandemic. And lastly, we want to find some really quick wins from the Imagine 2040 plan. We're seeing some really great things with that plan. We're excited for what some of the recommendations may be. I think you'll see that there will be a lot more people scale recommendations. It's not going to be just about development, although there are plenty of areas that are still ripe for redevelopment in downtown. But we want kind of a people-focused plan, and we want to keep the momentum from the planning going so that this isn't just something that sits on the shelf. With the past two plans have been very successful. If you have a chance to look through those plans, you'll see that we checked a lot of the boxes for those plans, and we want to make sure that the Imagine 2040 plan gets off to a great start. So now I'll tell you a little bit more about the current efforts for the Imagine 2040 downtown plan. So, one of the first questions we ask everybody is, what's your big idea for downtown La Crosse? And I certainly hope that you'll jump in with questions or comments on what your big idea for downtown La Crosse is before this meeting ends. You can also put it in the chat menu as well, and Heather and Deb can alert me to that. But that's something to think about through the rest of this presentation and during our conversation. So I mentioned some of this before, but the Imagine 2040 plan, we're looking out at least 20 years. So we want it to be very visionary. Let's not let anybody tell us that we can't do something as long as it's still realistic. We have to make sure that it's grounded in reality, and that we know that some big changes take a lot of resources, whether it's people's time, whether it's people's money, whether it's natural resources, limited land available, all those things. So we need to make sure that what we can do is achievable. We wanted to focus on people. I mentioned that before about, really doing it at a people scale. We want everybody to feel included in this plan, both during the planning process and afterwards. Once implementation takes place, we want people to see that this really is about them. And then I touched on this a little bit as well, but the goal is to address near-term resiliency, really figure out how La Crosse and specifically the downtown can bounce back. But certainly some of these strategies and recommendations will be able to be applied really anywhere in the community or the region, and also create that long-term vision for looking past COVID. So we've got 3 different subcommittees within the steering committee. I am on the steering committee as well as a representative for Downtown Mainstreet. Those subcommittees are policy, people, and development. And so just touching on a little bit about that, on the policy side, we want to make sure that when people want to do something in downtown or make change, that the application process is easy and understandable, but also very detailed, so that we can continue to really support and preserve our historic downtown. We want to focus on the environment, and that's not just the natural environment, although that's very important and something that everybody talks about. But it's the people, it's the cleanliness, it's the diversity, all of that. We want to make sure it's an environment that's all inclusive and healthy. And then also another thing we're looking at is parking. A lot of times people will tell us that I don't come downtown because the parking situation is just terrible. And often what we find is a lot of times when it comes to parking, it's perception over reality. We've got many parking ramps in downtown that sit half full most of the time. We've got some problems with the on-street related to trying to get, the downtown employees, especially part-time staff that might only be there for a small shift, to stay off the street and go into the ramps so that those are available for customers. But we're really trying to work proactively to take a good hard look at the parking situation downtown, because we don't want that to be an impediment to anybody coming downtown. People, we've focused a lot on the engagement process, which I'll go into detail about here as well. We're really trying to reach out to just about anyone we can, which is why we jumped at the chance to be a part of this today. We want to take a look at housing insecurity and public safety. So we want a wide strata of housing types and affordabilities in downtown La Crosse, so that anybody that really feels passionate about living in downtown, wants to be close to all the great things that we have. There's really not a lot missing from our downtown anymore. We've got, the food co-op. We've got festival within walking distance. You really can get just about anything you need within the downtown, and also then be close to nature, the river, other entertainment options. And then also the neighborhoods and housing, we want to be able to better connect to the surrounding neighborhoods. So this plan actually extended the boundary of what we're looking for or looking at. We're not just looking at the historic downtown, but this plan goes all the way from the La Crosse River to West Avenue down to Market Street over to the Mississippi River. So, you know, we recognize that downtown really needs to have those neighborhood connections. And then lastly, we're looking at development projects, mobility within the downtown. Again, we want people to be able to get down there, and once they're down there, an extremely walkable downtown. Many of our retailers and restaurants, you know, have great storefronts, and it's really not until you're walking that you can really appreciate those and take a look. A couple strong themes that are coming out of the plan so far is, again, we want a network of strong neighborhoods that includes the core of the downtown, but also the neighborhoods around it. We want it to be a destination for all people. So all ages, all income levels, all backgrounds. We want people to feel comfortable downtown and to be able to find stuff that they can do. We want a connected city. So again, that's connected to the region, connected to the neighborhoods. It can also mean connected digitally, you know, really move the downtown forward, and while certainly preserving and respecting our history, make sure that we're moving into the future as well. We want it to be a confluence of nature. So, you know, downtown La Crosse is located right where Three Rivers meet. Over the last several decades, we've done a great job of connecting downtown with trails and bikeable and walkable streets and all those sorts of things, but we can continue to do it better. La Crosse is a really unique place where you can go from you know, the nature in the river areas. You can be in an urban historic downtown, and you can be on top of the bluffs, you know, if you're on a bike or want to walk that far, all on trails. And lastly, we want to make sure that, you know, it continues to be a market that people want to be in. You know, we need to have things for people to do. We need employees, we need businesses downtown. We want to be smart about how we develop and redevelop downtown. So we're trying to do the things to make sure that that's a good environment as well. So we've done a lot of public engagement with the help of our consultant team, RDG, Downtown Mainstreet, city staff. Everybody's been really involved. So just like we are today, because of COVID, we've had to do a lot of those via Zoom, but they've been really successful. We've also got a website doing a lot of social media, email blasts, all those sorts of things. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about how you can still participate in this. And these statistics are old, probably from a couple of months ago. We've been getting quite a bit of feedback, and I really hope that you'll take the time to provide us your feedback as well. More about the websites and social media. Team's been doing a really great job of trying to get that out there, you know. But again, we have to find other ways to get out there too, because not everybody's on social media, not everybody has access to computers or websites, or they just don't check it. So some other things that we've done is, even though we've had to deal with COVID, we've been trying to find some COVID safe ways to do things. So the pictures that you see there, intercepting people in there, that was back in February. You can see there still aren't leaves on the trees. So people weren't real accustomed wearing masks at the time, but you can see in all the other photos, people are already wearing masks. You know, so we set up tents and booths throughout the downtown in various stages. We've done a lot of historic tours and other types of tours. We had a booth at the farmers market for people to learn more. We had a design session, and one of the spots that part of the design team was at was Grounded Coffee, you know, with their outdoor patio area. So that was real visible to people. And you can see here, you know, that question again of what's your big idea for downtown? That's what we were asking people to put on there. We got some really great local artists to kind of show people, hey, you know, there's a design studio in downtown, you know, come and take a look. And also it was a great way to market some of our businesses as well. But here's some shots of some of the design studio work. You know, again, it was an opportunity for people to come and talk about the plan, to see some of the concepts and ideas that the design team was coming up with. in person. So some of the big picture ideas that we've heard so far, the central district structure, we still want to keep that core of downtown strong, well preserved, but what can we do to really strengthen it and bring it into the next several decades? City of greenways, so we want to be able to connect the neighborhoods to the core of downtown to the river, and I'll show you a few images from that in a little bit. Unity of city and nature. So what's really great about La Crosse, I've got a high school and college friend actually who lives in Manhattan, New York, and he is from La Crosse and affectionately refers to downtown as mini Manhattan because he loves the fact that it's a small town, obviously nothing like New York, but yet when you're in downtown, you can almost imagine that you're in a big city like that, but yet you're literally a couple blocks away from the most famous river in the United States, a great marshland floodplain area that's well preserved, the blufflands, everything. Again, what can we do to strengthen the downtown core neighborhood, but also the neighborhoods around us? And then lastly, living streets and alleys. So, what can we do to make our streets more walkable, more successfully have vegetation, lots of people out there so they feel alive? And then also, what can we do in the alleys, that historically are kind of forgotten about, they're dirty and dingy, maybe not well lit, but we're learning a lot from other cities on some really cool things that can be done with alleys. So the Imagine 2040 plan, we talked about the greenways a bit, so you can see, we're really focusing on the streets, but also the rivers, these various conduits of how people get around, or, so the blue lines along the Mississippi River, how do we make sure that people can connect to that and have clear pathways? We've already got, the La Crosse River trails. You can see the focus here on getting the neighborhoods connected to the downtown. So we've, La Crosse, as you all know, is lying linear from north to south. So we've got some good corridors on 2nd Street and 7th Street and 3rd and 4th, north and south, but how can we connect the neighborhoods as well, east and west? And then this was a focus of past plans, but I think we can continue to do more here, and that's how do we make sure that the downtown is well connected to the river? There was a past when, unfortunately, we didn't do a great job of that. Much of the river area was redeveloped in a way that we vacated some streets. We, did some things that really, you could be up on 3rd and 4th Street and not even know that you were 2 blocks away from, again, the most famous river in the United States. So that's a little bit about where things are at today, the public engagement, some of the themes that are coming out of the plan, but it's not too late to participate. So you may be asking yourself, well, how can I participate in the plan? And there's many different ways you can do it. One of the easiest ways is to go to www.lacrossedowntown.com. That's Downtown Mainstreet's website. And you can see up at the top, I've created a larger image. There is something on the top banner called the Imagine 2040 plan. And if you click on that, that will take you to another page within Downtown Mainstreet, but then there will be a link that can also take you to imaginedowntownlacrosse.com. So again, both of these websites will get you to the same place. This one, if you're good at writing down and typing in long lines of characters, you can do www.imaginedowntownlacrosse.com. Or again, you can get there through a couple clicks on the Downtown Mainstreet website. Again, what's your big idea for downtown La Crosse? So once you get to the Imagine Downtown La Crosse website, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see numerous ways that you can interact. One is to provide an email, so you can provide written content by clicking on that email link. There's a video on there from back in August that explains a little bit about the process and background and why we're doing what we're doing. And then also there's a button down there that says participate under Downtown Survey, and there's a survey that you can fill out. And it's a highly interactive tool. You can get down to the specifics on, a certain block or a street or even a building, and have a very specific comment, or you can have much more generalized comments as well. So that's great ways to participate, including being here today. But another question you might be asking, because it's very important at this time, is how can you support small businesses during COVID-19? And we fully recognize that there are many people that, because of their susceptibility to COVID, or their connections to other people that may be susceptible to COVID, there's a lot of people that don't want to be out and about. And certainly, unfortunately, things are pretty bad right now. And it's well advised, through local public health officials, that if you don't have to go out, you really should try to limit what you do. But that doesn't mean that you can't still participate in the local economy and support local businesses. So I know we're kind of loading you with a lot of different websites today, but there's a great website that was put out through a lot of local partners, including the city, the county, the chamber, Downtown Mainstreet, called www.belocallacrosse.com. And as you can see, it's not just about downtown, but some of your best options probably are in downtown just because of the number of businesses. So again, at the top banner, you can see a couple links there. One that'll show you how to buy gift cards or gift certificates from local retailers or downtown LaCrosse, or DMI, Downtown Mainstreet. There's also a link to shop online. There are some local retailers that you may or may not know do have online stores, and some really great ideas. My wife and her friends had what they call a virtual happy hour the other night, where they each grabbed a glass of wine or a beer, did a Zoom call just like we are right now, and they all went to these websites and browsed the website, shared some ideas, and spent their money downtown rather than on Amazon or somewhere else. And I got one comment. They didn't even know that I knew about it, but one comment from a downtown retailer that said, "We got 5 online purchases within 2 minutes of each other, and we thought the system was broken." So I mean, if we can do more of that, whether it's on your own, whether it's telling family and friends about it, or whether it's setting up a little party that is, a great entertainment option during these times as well. If we can, flood some of these small businesses with those types of orders, that would be fantastic. And we really are entering a tough time for them right now. We need people to shop locally, because, the hope is that by the middle of next year, hopefully we'll be seeing some vaccines being distributed. My understanding is it might take a little while because you might need to get 2 doses of the vaccine. So, we're probably looking at mid to late next year, before we've got this thing totally under control. And we need to bridge that gap for these local businesses. It would be an absolute shame, if we lost even one of these businesses between now and then. But we're really worried about it as winter hits and people are less active, and also less active because of the numbers going around right now. You can also buy downtown gift certificates. So again, at the DMI website, www.lacrossedowntown.com, you can click on gift certificates, and right there you can enter your information. You can pay for those gift certificates, and we will put them together, and Deb will have a little bit more information that she can share via video later on what those look like and how you can use them. But they're accepted at most businesses downtown, and it's a really great way. If you don't know exactly what that person wants, you can get them that. It's a great way to, make sure that your family and friends do spend their money downtown. So we highly encourage that, and shop, and also buying gift cards or gift certificates through the local businesses directly as well. Another initiative is Shop Small Sundays. Again, you can see that through Be Local Lacrosse. It's another link at the top called Shop Small Sundays. And this is a really, really cool initiative that we're doing on Sundays from, actually, it was a week ago yesterday when we started, all the way through the end of the year. And it's a partnership of Downtown Mainstreet and the Lacrosse Chamber, where we've got some corporate sponsorships and even some anonymous donors that are willing to match your purchase. And again, that purchase doesn't have to be in person. You know, what we're looking for is just some evidence that you shop downtown. It could be an email through your online purchase, or even the gift certificates that you can purchase through Downtown Mainstreet. But if you spend $1.50 will go to the Small Business Resiliency Fund, or in this example below, you know, you spend $50 and $25 will go to the Small Business Resiliency Fund. And then what that fund does, so I mentioned earlier this year, there was a relief fund that was just a cash injection to businesses. Small Business Resiliency Fund is being administered by LaCrosse County and Cooley Cap. And the goal here is to kind of take that next step to get businesses to bounce back. And so they can get up to a $5,000 grant, and if they're 1 to 20 employees. And what we want them to do this time around with that cash is do the thing that they really wish their business had that could really help them bounce back. You know, so if you're a hair salon, it might be expensive air purifiers that then, you know, you can tell your customers that you've got them, and that, you know, you're doing everything you can to make things safe. It's really part of the goal is to build consumer confidence when the public health issues hopefully get back under control. You know, another one would be, if you do have a small outdoor seating area, to buy infrared heaters, you know, that are highly actually efficient, you know, in providing some heat outside so that you can extend that season. Or, you know, crazy people like me can sit outside and have that sandwich or coffee wearing a parka. Other initiatives during COVID-19 that we've been working on, again, is trying to extend the outdoor cafes. Yet to be seen how successful that will be, but we're certainly trying to facilitate that. We're trying to put some more greenery in the planters this year. We've got annuals that go in every year in the gray planters that you see throughout downtown. So trying to green that up a little bit this year. Working with rotary lights in a couple different ways, seeing if maybe we can get some lights up the Main Street pedestrian corridor between Second and Front, and then also just some flyers and maybe even some promotions that they hand out to people walking in the park and the cars. You know, they might be discounts or sales at downtown businesses. If you're downtown going through the rotary lights, you know, either before or afterwards, you know, when things are safe, and if you're healthy, you know, see what you can do to help downtown businesses. And then looking at possibly some open street ideas, which, you know, is a temporary street closure kind of thing. We've done them in downtown many times before, but we really need opportunities for people to get outside and be safe. And we're also looking at, you know, what we can learn during COVID-19 and go beyond. So this is a really cool program that downtown applied for. It was a competitive process. We did not get it, but our city to the north, Eau Claire, did. And so we can learn a lot from what that program is doing. And I think, you know, based on what I've seen out of their program, if you were to do the same surveys and come up with the same ideas in La Crosse, we're really no different than Eau Claire. So I think it would be very similar. So what Eau Claire heard for wanting more things to do and to really improve their community in the winter is better snow management. We hear that all the time. It's tough, you know, if we get an ice storm, those sorts of things, you know, we really get on the downtown businesses to make the sidewalks safe, to make the curb ramps safe. You know, I mean, everybody's got to be able to walk around safely. We've got people in chairs that need access as well. You know, so we're really trying to do what we can. We're trying to work with the city. It's all very costly, and you know, you start to run out of room. And the city does usually about once a year come in and remove a lot of the snow. But again, that's no easy task, and it's costly as well. So what can we do to better manage snow? More family-friendly activities, you know, is something that we've been focusing on for a while. But I would say here in La Crosse, you know, we're focused on other groups as well, whether it's older adults or teenagers and those sorts of things. Places to warm up, you know. So I mentioned with the outdoor cafes, it could be heaters. You know, it could just be simple temporary shelters, those sorts of things. But what I really want to get across, and on the next slide it mentions, you know, many of us have lived here for a long time. We know that winter comes, right? There's some really interesting articles that you can Google search about some of the Scandinavian countries really embrace winter, and they've even got kind of themes for like coziness and just enjoying winter. You know, throw on a sweater, start a fire, get that hot drink, you know, and really embrace it. And so I think, you know, we need to kind of change the conversation and the culture as well. Provide opportunities for outdoor activities. So Rotary Lights has been doing the ice rink, which is fantastic. You know, we've got if you are into active activities such as snowshoeing or cross-country skiing or mountain biking or fat biking in the winter, the Outdoor Recreation Alliance, we have one of the best volunteer groups for outdoor recreation in the upper Midwest. What they do is absolutely fantastic. And maybe we can get some interesting things, you know, going in the parks or even downtown regarding that this year. Better communication and information, you know, so just really giving people ideas on how to engage in the winter and really enjoy winter. And then providing more activities and more affordable activities. So we're working with a lot of different groups to see what could be done in downtown this winter. You know, working with the city as well, you know, on some of the ideas that might have come from Winter Rec Fest or something like that in the past. Just a couple more ideas here related to that, but the two that I wanted to highlight here are the winter gear share. So, you know, sometimes the reason people don't engage in winter activities is either because they can't afford or they're just unaware of what type of gear to get. You know, so what can we do to really get people access to that and educate them on, you know, hey, if the weather's like this, here's what you should consider wearing when going outside. And, you know, generally speaking, if you can get the right gear, you know, you can be comfortable outside. I mean, sure, the 20 below day with the biting wind chill, you're not going to do anything about that, but we actually have plenty of nice days in the winter around here. And then also, as I mentioned before, reframing the culture. So, you know, really getting people to think positively about winter. It's not going to go away. So what can we do to make to really find some great things to do during that time and promote them? So that's all I had. Want to thank you very much for your time today and inviting us. Deb and I love talking about this kind of stuff. We hope that you will participate in the downtown plan in the ways that I showed you there. And with that, Deb and I will take any questions or comments that you have. And Deb, maybe if you want to, just before we jump into that, show them a picture of the current gift certificates from Downtown Mainstreet so they understand what they look like and how to find out where they can be used. Okay,
Here, can you see it? That's the front. So if you went on our website.
Hold on just a second, Deb. I'm trying to unshare my screen.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, there's the front. And then here's the back. So let's say you went on to the Downtown Mainstreet website. Last week we had one guy go on and order 30 $50 gift certificates. And we're open at DMI from 9 to 1 Monday through Friday. So that gave her Lizzie a couple days to go ahead and get them ready. And you can write them out to whoever you want. But one thing, I always pictured them being used at restaurants and the wedding tree. But the number one place that takes the gift certificates and turns them in is the food co-op. So if you have kids or relatives that you want to get them a present and you want to support downtown businesses, the food co-op turns in more of these than anywhere, and who can't use groceries, right? So that's been a big thing. Also, I wanted to add on to what Will was talking about. When you go to the Be Local website, that is where you upload your receipts from shopping Sunday. And again, it can be online or in person. Any Sundays you shop between now and the end of December, the place you upload your receipts is on the Be Local website under the Shop Small Sunday icon or hyperlink or whatever you call it. That's been very successful, and I hope that everybody will consider, regardless of if it's online or in person, shopping for sure on Sundays, but of course anywhere. Now, being it's 10 minutes left, I hope that with Will second that we love talking about this, so we could go on and on. We were hoping we were scheduled till 3, but we don't know if we would lose some of you. But we love downtown La Crosse, and we hope you do too. And even if you think it's minor, please share with us your ideas for downtown, what you think we can do to improve, and anything you want to add to the conversation, because we'll listen and we'll take it to the other people.
Yeah, and if the uploading of the receipt is too burdensome too, you can always just email us some information too, or call the office with some information, and we'll make sure it gets in there.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any chance of a pedestrian mall in downtown La Crosse? Similar, like the city that I've seen it in is Boulder, Colorado.
Sure. Yeah, it's certainly something that gets kicked around all the time. And, pedestrian malls have mixed reviews. If they're done well and they're done in a, very vibrant area, they can be very successful. Some communities have tried them in areas and failed as well. So I actually study this quite a bit because it happens to be, pretty involved in my profession. And I think there are some opportunities in La Crosse to prioritize pedestrians. Whether or not a pedestrian mall would work in La Crosse, I'm not sure. I know we would need to do a lot of convincing of the retailers on those streets. But there are other innovative options that some cities are promoting that are maybe more of a hybrid approach to that have been successful. If you Google shared streets or WUNRF, those are streets where they don't necessarily prohibit vehicles, but they're widely restricted, and the pedestrian is definitely prioritized on those streets. So like if you look at example, like even State Street, in Madison, isn't a true pedestrian mall because the buses, the police, the taxis all can use it. And that works pretty successfully. The key is, just if you are going to have vehicles, to have them through design and enforcement that they're basically only traveling at a snail's pace through the area, And so, again, if you look at those ideas, they're called shared streets or WUNRFs. Especially in a city like La Crosse that, is unfortunately to some degree still very auto dependent. It's an interesting way to make it very safe for pedestrians, still provide some easy parking access, because there are people that, can't be a pedestrian or can only walk short distances. So I think there's some really great solutions out there that are in the spirit of that should be looked at. To maybe a full pedestrian mall, it would just take quite a bit more discussion and research, but that's a great question.
Will, Sandy's
Yep.
secret here.
Good morning,
Can you
Sandy.
hear me?
We can, yep.
Yes, I love the co-op. I mean, I'm there every week. That is my primary grocery store. It's also very handy because it's smaller and you don't, there's, you know, safer. But
Yeah.
but they have something they've started, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, where you can prepay. And it's sort of like a gift certificate, but you give it to yourself. But, you know, like, you know, I, you know, say, okay, I'm prepaying $500, and then I just shop there. And when I go in, I say my, you know, customer number is so-and-so, and I'm prepaid, and I don't have to dig through my purse trying to find where that wallet is. But it's
That's a
very handy.
fantastic idea. That's great. So who do you
And
contact to do that, Sandy? Can you do it at the checkout, or?
Well, you could, their website, you can do it on their website. If you look under, you have to be a member to do that. You know, co-op,
Gotcha.
which gives you discount coupons anyway. So
Right.
anyway, it's there, and you can do that. I think you could probably do it in person too, but I think I did it once by phone and once by online. But it's, you know, it's easy, and it's, you know, makes things handy.
Yeah.
And then just to grumble about snow. You know, I worry, you know, I know the police have lots of things to do, but sometimes you know, like it was like maybe a couple winters ago, but there was a empty business which was not there, which was on a major, you know, sidewalk area. And they, you know, they had the realtors thing saying this available. As a matter of fact, it was the old whatchamacallit, not Downtown, you know, the other one. You know, the city.
Oh, chamber?
Yeah, Chamber of Commerce. And that building was empty very long time, and no one did anything with the sidewalk. And, you know, I think the realtors, you know, it's sort of, I looked at that, I said, should I call the realtor? Should I scream at the realtor? You know, it was sort of like, because I volunteer at the public library, which is another major part of downtown. And and the sidewalk was basically inaccessible on the one side because the, you know, ice, snow, and had obviously not been touched for months. And
Yeah, so I would encourage anybody that encounters that to call the city. You know, I think you could probably call the non-emergency line. Otherwise, I believe it's the engineering department that's in charge of that. And, you know, even if a space is vacant, you know, that property owner is ultimately responsible for the removal of the snow. You know, and certainly things happen, you know, something breaks down, or, you know, they lose their contractor, or they're out of town or whatever, you know, but the best way to handle that is to make sure somebody at the city knows about it. And if it's a problem that can't be taken care of immediately, the city will come in and remove the snow or ice, and then back charge the property owner. Because unfortunately, the way we handle snow maintenance is it's on the property owner, so it's kind of a patchwork, if you will. And all it takes is one person on the block to make the whole block unsafe. So definitely speak up when you see that. Appreciate that comment, Sandy.
yeah, I mean, someone else is in that space now, and they maintain it well, but I still have bad memories of the other.
Has there been any effort to look at Boise, Idaho? They have what's called the Green Belt. And we almost in La Crosse have the start of what could be a Green Belt area. We frequent that city because we have family who lives there. And we love the walking. We can take our grandchildren, we can ride our bicycles, we can do all kinds of things. And there's no traffic that we have to contend with. They have the Boise River that flows through the city. They have numerous parks. We're a lot like them, only maybe a little smaller city now than what Boise is. So I would offer that as a suggestion for you to look at.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Sandy. We're always looking for great examples. That's something that we are doing with the plan is, who do we aspire to be? Let's, we don't have to create something new. We can certainly copy what others are doing and make it our own.
Yeah, it's I've worked with Will for, I'm going to say, the full 6 years he's been on the board, and he's an advocate for making sure that we can do better with pedestrians and bikes on our streets and making sure people know to park in the ramps or farther away. But I can attest to the fact that every time we talk about taking away even 10 parking spots so that we can put in 100 bikes and 200 pedestrians, people just get upset. So it's been a gradual process, but I do think people are finally starting to come around better now, especially as they experience stuff like you just mentioned, Sandy, and realize how nice it is to be able to do this with their families and not worry about getting hit by a car. So I think that in the 2040 plan, you'll see some elimination of parking spots so we can make sure that there are better areas for pedestrians and bikers.
Well, and how this is organized or set up is there's different points within the city that you can access the green belt. So there's a place where you can park, take your bicycle off of your car, and then get on the green belt and go through the city and through areas, and the parks and things are linked on the green belt. So for some people who might not want to bicycle all the way from, well, where I live, which is just a little bit on the outskirts of the city, I can drive my car there, take my bicycle off of the car and get on the bicycle and then bike through the park areas and those types of things. And we do that frequently when we visit there.
I do know that there's a bike sharing plan being implemented in the spring in downtown La Crosse. Hopefully that's one step towards what you're discussing, that there'll be different places you can pick up a bike in different place, and you don't have to put it back at the same space you picked it up. So we're working towards it. Keep bringing up the ideas. Even on the Downtown Mainstreet website, there's contact us buttons everywhere. As you have ideas or suggestions or other towns you want us to take a look at for inspiration, just please email us. I already wrote down Boise, Idaho, and we have a whole bunch of other ones that we're checking. Thank you. Any other questions? We don't want to overstay our welcome.
Or comments.
Or comments?
Tell us what we should be doing. What's your big idea?
Well, I don't really have a question about this, but I do have a concern or maybe even a comment. It does not seem, from my perception, that there's collaboration between the Tavern League and the downtown retailers to make the area safe for those of us who are concerned about health issues. And I would encourage somehow re-looking at or reframing what's going on around that, as far as safety to shop, safety to go and walk, etc.
Yeah, certainly appreciate that comment, Sandy. It's been a tough time. We're kind of left to deal with things at a local level, which means that there really hasn't been a lot of policy that's been able to be put in place because of what's happening at the state and federal level. We don't have a good answer for you because we can't shut down businesses. Some of the bars are members of ours, and we can certainly, have that dialogue and try to put pressure on them. But many of them are not. And also the Tavern League is a very strong organization that obviously has a lot of lobbying power down in Madison. So it's certainly unfortunate. And I can tell you a lot of our restaurants and retailers are very, very frustrated. And even some of the Tavern League members that are members of ours as well are very, very frustrated. Don't have a good solution for you on that one. But keep the pressure up and we're doing everything we can to make downtown safe and instill consumer confidence. I think the big thing to know about, downtown is that, right now the numbers are high statewide and throughout the upper Midwest. When we do get that back under control, unfortunately, the effect that I think the bars are having on public health isn't, even though it's happening in downtown La Crosse, it's not likely that you're going to get a transmission from going into a restaurant or a retailer, when the numbers are lower and everybody's following the same safety precautions. I think the unfortunate truth is that, it's being spread within that space, within that bar. And then as people are infected, they're infecting others at work or school or home. So that's part of what we're fighting in downtown as well, is when it is safe and advisable to go out and enter restaurants and retailers with the proper precautions. Now we're fighting that perception too, which is unfortunate. And, I just want to make note too of a lot of our local businesses, whether they're downtown or not, have gone through huge efforts to try to make things safe, whether it's restricting capacity, whether it was adopting mask policies early on, deep cleaning, those sorts of things. Our heart goes out to the business owners that are really doing their part and trying to make things work. And I guess what we're trying to do is really reward those businesses, with our assistance, with our effort, promote their businesses. So while there's certainly things that are going on in the downtown and community that we wish wouldn't, we hope that's not at the expense of those that really are doing their part. Deb, your business is a great example of, you guys took the step of, it's appointment only, and so, I think that's it works for, a wedding business, because you've got, maybe smaller groups of people, bigger purchases going on. So you're not living off the $3 coffee and that kind of stuff. But can you tell us a little bit, Deb, about your decision to do that and what it's meant for your business and why you're doing it?
Well, the advantage I also have, which I feel bad for those that don't, although I do pay for it, but we have 17,500 square feet for the bridal shop. So we keep the door locked and we do appointment only. And again, we're struggling with people that don't know we're appointment only, and they come and they have to stand out in the cold until we make sure they have a mask on and what they're there for, and make sure, like, if they're coming to get measured or touched, that there's nobody else back there. It definitely, more staffing for less return, but we feel like we're being socially responsible by doing our part to keep everybody safe. And the customers really do appreciate that we have separate bridal rooms for all the brides, and I walk through and make sure they have their mask on, all three of them in that room. And so it's going okay. Most customers are happy that we're still accommodating them because they're still planning weddings. It's definitely different. In November, usually we have, 200 people in the store a weekend. So to see the decrease is kind of sad, especially because it is going into my 25th year of business. I never thought this is how I would be spending it, but the socially responsible way to do business is this way right now. And hopefully in year 26 and 27, it'll be, karma will help us continue to survive.
Yeah, so Deb's got great firsthand experience, but there's a lot of businesses downtown that have taken similar approaches to fit their business style. And so we really applaud them for doing that. we've still got time if you got time. So if there's any other questions or comments, feel free.
Deb,
Yes,
I just wanted to say I've been to a couple events on the, was it Courtyard above Main?
yes.
Whatever. That is such an attractive space.
Thank you. It was vacant for 95 years before we remodeled it. So it was lots of dust and lots of ghost stories, but we got it done. There was cement on the old shower room floors that was made from fly dust or fly ash or whatever. Will knows probably what it's called, but it was we had one of the oldest air conditioners in La Crosse made by Train that recycled the same water all summer. Like, it was really fun to be part of the history. The only one thing we found outside of Dr. Evans' door, who did checkups on the girls that came to the Y, was a key for his office door. We use that door for the front of the bar, and I wear the key on a necklace. So yep, it was an interesting time, and we're very proud of how it turned out.
All right, well, if that's all we have for questions. We just wanted to thank Will and Deb for joining us this morning and sharing the exciting vision for downtown for the next 20 years. So super exciting, and thank you as well for sharing those great initiatives like Small Business Sunday that we can help support our local business community in the current pandemic and crisis. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for joining us today, and take good care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.